Welcome to What the Body.
Welcome.
Welcome. We've got Kimmy Styled on social and Kimmy Garris here today. We are so excited you are here.
Whoop whoop.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Of
Yes.
course.
So to intro you, you have made it big on social platforms. You have very much into curvy style. You are a solo travel expert and adventurer, which we discussed. I can't wait for you to share with the squad. And joyful movement as a fat aerialist. So we're going to
Mhm.
get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Awesome.
super pumped.
Yeah.
So this is kind of round two on this interview. We started it on a different platform just to be fully transparent, and we're back here. And we had a conversation about, as somebody who is an aerialist who lives in a plus size body, I asked you how did you get into it? But B, how are you comfortable going into these studios and knowing that they're going to hold your body and support you in a way that feels really safe? And your answer was great.
Mm.
So I want you to reiterate that because I think it's kind
Yeah.
of like a threshold that people don't try new things because they're afraid. And the way that you just
Yeah.
simplified it was really awesome. So dive back into that for us, like how you find a
Yeah.
studio.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of barriers to movement that shouldn't be there. I think one of the biggest concerns for people when trying a new activity is a weight limit, which you mentioned. And any reputable and good aerial studio will not have a weight limit. So if the equipment is rigged properly, it can hold anywhere from 1 to like 5,000 pounds.
Wow.
And so there shouldn't be a weight limit.
Right.
And in cases where I'm nervous or unsure if a studio can support me, I just call them ahead of time and say, is there any weight limit for your equipment? I've had people tell me, no, this can literally hold a car. So if it can hold a car, it can hold me
Yes.
for sure.
Fair.
And I've had followers say they've called studios in their area and it says that there's like a 250 weight limit max or something like that. And that's scary because that means the equipment is not rated properly. And so it's even dangerous for like the smaller people in those classes.
Oof. I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that. That's very good to know. That's
Yeah.
very good to know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's
Well,
start back at the beginning. What got you
Mhm.
into solo travel and fashion and all of this amazing stuff? I love your social. I was going through again today and I was like, your photos are so cute. Your videos are so
yes,
cute. Like you just live the
absolutely.
best life. So I want to know how you got into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a millennial. I'm 31. I started an Instagram back in 2012 when the platform first opened. For the first like couple of years, it was just like posting for friends and things like that. It wasn't anything serious, but probably 2 or 3 years in, Instagram was so revolutionary at the time because it just connected you with people from all over the world. And I just saw people who looked like me, and I was like, wow, like you didn't see that on other social media sites, you didn't see that on Facebook or MySpace. And so it was like very inspiring. And I would see people
Mm.
like wearing things or like shopping at places that I had no idea existed or had sizes that could fit me. And so it really just skyrocketed my journey, like when I found people that were like me and I saw them doing all these fashion things. So I was really big into fashion online from like probably 2014 to like 2019, 2020,
Mm.
even
Yeah.
2021, just like pretty much like a fashion person on Instagram, sharing outfits, sharing different things. But I think after COVID, I think
Yes.
everyone's just like lives and priorities kind of change. And so
Yeah.
I started to explore more about like just like, fashion isn't fulfilling me. I'm sitting in my home in pajamas.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
why am I
Yeah.
posting endless fashion content when everyone's lives
When no
have
one
like
can leave.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't leave. We're just inside. I feel like we all have like 100 pairs of joggers now.
Hmm.
And so it just didn't like speak as much to me. And
Yeah.
I also think just things for me personally changed. I was just more interested in like going out and exploring and just doing different things. And I don't know, you just kind of fall into things. So I started like traveling and exploring and doing more adventurous things that have always been in the back of my mind. And I think I was just
Yeah.
always like, I can't do this because I'm alone, or I can't do this because I'm fat. And then I was just like, I'm tired of living like this. And so I
Yeah.
Yeah.
started living differently.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were chatting, you were talking about, I really enjoyed the part of the conversation where you were like, I was seeing everyone travel. I wanted to get out of my house. And so I just did it. And that's kind of me. I'm not married. I don't have kids. And so I just travel solo. Caitlin does too. Like we just
Mhm.
get out there. We don't sit at home. We don't need anybody else to go.
Yeah.
And I'd like to sort of hear, about your first adventure. Like you go out there, you're
Mm.
probably anxious and nervous and like you don't really know what to expect. Tell us a little bit about your first solo trip.
Honestly, I think my first solo trip was like a lot. farther back in my experience than I actually recall. I studied abroad when I was in college. And so
Okay.
I did that like all by myself. But it's very different. So like truly like when I was like younger, I had a couple solo experiences through college, but like as an adult with like, more life experience and like,
Right.
Yeah.
not going to school and outside of that. Gosh, what was my first one? What a good question. I think like the biggest one in my memory, because I've traveled across the US and things like that, but like
Mhm.
I think my big just like dipping my toes back into going abroad again as a solo person was last year. I spent a month in Costa Rica, just like
Oh,
this tapestry behind me.
yeah.
And I really wanted to learn Spanish. It had been something I like kind of always like regretted not doing. And so I was
Yeah.
just like, whatever, I'm just gonna go to Costa Rica for a month and go to school there and just like live with a family by myself. So
So
I went
cool.
That is
and it was
cool.
amazing. And my Spanish is better, obviously, like not fluent or anything like that. And I just got to experience and do so much. And
Ah.
it was like the best, honestly.
Where did you go
So
in Costa Rica?
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So we were living in like a suburb outside of San Jose,
Mhm.
Okay.
called Heredia. It was like probably 20 or 30 minutes from the capital.
So you said you stayed with a family. How did you find that family?
I just went through like a program, and so I paid like a tuition, and so the tuition just like connected with me with like a family, and so I stayed with like it was a mom and a grandma that lived in a home,
Oh
and
my
there was
God.
a very unfriendly dog that lived there
Oh
too.
man.
I love that so much. That is so cool. I would never have
Yeah.
even thought to go like live with somebody. I would have just,
Yeah.
dang,
Yeah, it
that's
forces
really
you to
smart.
practice because like she didn't speak any English and like grandma obviously didn't speak any English because she was like 90. And so
Right.
like I had to like just try really hard every day.
Oh my
That's great.
gosh.
Yeah.
Trial by fire. I love that. Throw you in the
hmm
deep end. That's really
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, it's like the best way to learn a language. So,
Mm, I love
So
that.
what other places did you do? Did you travel to in COVID? Or like not COVID, but like just in the last 3 years?
yeah. So probably the first 2 years in COVID, I don't think I really went
Yeah,
anywhere and did
nobody did.
anything.
Yeah.
From
Fair
the
enough.
But
couch to the bed, to the bed, to the couch,
yeah,
Yeah.
to the
yeah,
window.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Costa Rica was my big one last year. And then I also did a solo trip to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico.
Mhm.
I feel like I learned a lot in that trip. It was pretty difficult doing that one solo. And then this year I went to Alaska. I did a part of that trip solo and then a part of it, my cousin lives up there. So I stayed with her, but
Oh,
the first part was solo. And then I feel like I traveled a lot this year. I went to Mexico again. I went to Tulum, but that wasn't a
love
solo
to.
trip. And then what else? I feel like I've gone a lot of places. I went to
Mhm.
California this year, but I visited a
Yeah.
friend. I went to St. Louis, but I visited a friend. The real secret to travel is just like stay with a friend because it's a lot cheaper. People are always like,
Yeah.
book Airbnb. It's just like find a friend that's somewhere and stay with
Yeah.
them. It's like the cheapest way to travel. But I have another solo trip coming up to Canada. I don't usually talk about my trips beforehand, so I won't like reveal what location I'm going
Right.
to, but I have a
Smart.
solo trip coming up to Canada soon.
Oh, that's gonna be so much fun. I had a
Yeah.
client come in she's from the UK and she
Mhm.
travels all over the world, but there is an app that you can get on where you can watch
Yeah.
people's dogs or cats
Yes.
and you
hmm
stay in their space for free. So it's like home
Yes.
swap. It's like the holiday, the
Oh.
movie. But
Pet
you're like
sitting. Yeah.
watching their animal and you stay for free as long as you watch their animal. So she travels all over the
hmm
world. She works remotely. She was in like HR or something. So she works remotely, makes her money, and then just travels for free, essentially. She's like, I have all these points. I could just get there and
Yeah.
then watch a dog. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea.
That's
No,
Yeah.
lovely.
It's
yes.
super smart. There's tons of Facebook groups for that. There's like specific ones for areas like you can go. There's like a huge Costa Rica group where you can just go and house sit or pet sit for people and just stay in their home for free.
Oh my God. Yep,
Yeah.
that's the dream. That's
That
the
is the
dream.
dream.
Pet the dogs
So
and
what
visit new
what
places.
challenges do you feel like you had traveling? I know you said like you were obviously a little bit kind of anxious of it, but what could you offer the audience of how you sort of overcame that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you can do to feel more comfortable or feel safer or whatever while traveling solo. I think just like
Yeah.
having a plan. I think a lot of people
Mm,
just travel on a whim, which is like, that is so not me. I don't understand people who don't
mhm.
have a plan and they're just like, on vibes. So, just prepare beforehand,
Caitlin and I very much travel on vibes.
That's me.
I mean, like maybe
That's
within
me.
the US, like where it's something I'm comfortable with, where we're not going to experience a language barrier. I'm not having to exchange currencies. Like in the US, I understand it's definitely more vibes. But if you're going like abroad where there's like a language difference and a culture difference and just like many things you'll be facing, just like I feel like a little prep goes a long way. Like making sure you have currency before you go, because like if you do it in the airport, you're going to get scammed. Like just make sure you get currency before you go. So many people don't bring cash
I've never
currency.
done it.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I wish I did.
Like, what if your
You're
cards don't
right.
work? Yeah. So like bring more than one card. If your cards don't work, you have to have currency. Like your bank will do it at like at the lowest cost available to you. Research where the
shit.
embassies are. Print out copies of your passport and important ID information and just put them in all of your bags. Get air tags and put those in all of your bags so they don't get lost in the airport, because that's a big issue. Especially so if you're living in like a larger body, the biggest issue is clothing and gear in your size. You will never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, ever find it. Never, never. I promise. I've been to so many locations and there is never gear.
Ever.
Maybe if you're traveling in the US, you'll have luck. Like when I went to Alaska, I was able to go to like a Walmart and they had things in like a 4 or a 5X. So if you're in a country where there are generally fat people, like I'm very curious what it's going to be like in Canada. Can I find fat people clothes because they're North Americans and are also larger?
Right.
But like Mexico, Costa Rica, nothing. I couldn't find. I brought the wrong kind of rain jacket with me. I just was wet for a month the whole time, just moist.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know there was a difference between water resistant and waterproof. And so I just brought my like $20 Target rain jacket and
nope. And you were wet. You were wet. You were moist.
I was in the rainforest and I was soaking
squishy.
wet, squishy every day. So just like preparing and like understanding the gear that you'll need and bringing that with you. So now I know there's a difference between water resistant and waterproof. And so get that gear.
The gear is important. That's when you cut one of those big trash bags, you cut a hole and some arms and you put it on under your water resistant and then your core is dry. Have had to do that before. The worst.
I bought an umbrella in Costa Rica. It was very expensive. So just like making sure you understand, like you are not going to find clothing in your size, especially if you need underwear, bras, jeans, rain jackets, snow jackets, anything. Like you have to pack it and pack extra because you will be out of luck. I think is like the biggest tip is just make sure that you're packed appropriately.
Yeah. Now, when you travel, do you only do a carry-on? You don't check a bag at all?
Oh, I check. I mean, I can't. It's like a fat tax issue because like I have to bring my clothing takes up more space. I have to bring more because I cannot buy any in the location. So probably 9 times out of 10, I'm checking a bag. I'm also a chronic overpacker. I haven't like perfected that.
Yeah.
And like when you see people packing, doing their cute little packing videos on like TikTok and Instagram, they're like, here's the 6 crop tops I'm wearing and the 6 booty shorts. And I'm like, I will burn in the sun. So I have to bring like long sleeve items. Like I have to bring things that are covering my body. And that's just like more also like the size of my underwear is the size of their crop top.
I was going to say our chones are bigger than their entire fucking short that they bring.
You're they can pack things cutely into their little carry-on backpack, but that's not a reality for me. Like literally my underwear is the size of their top. Yeah. So it's like a fat tax issue.
Yeah.
I have to check a bag typically.
Yeah. I wear a women's size 12 shoe. That alone hinders my ability to ever have a checked bag, like a carry-on. Yeah. I'm like, okay, but then what about my toiletries? My shoes and my toiletries take up an entire carry-on. Like,
same.
What, same. How do we do this? Yeah. So
I need like 4 sunscreens. So
Yep. The sunscreen alone makes me have to check the fucking bag because it's one of those big pump bottles. We got a gallon of sunscreen in the back. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. You brought that to Mexico. I was like, what the fuck is that?
You need it.
I think you brought that.
No, I definitely
sunscreen. Yeah.
It's my sunscreen. And look, I also brought it to Puerto Vallarta. To Punta Cana. And guess what? I still have a little bit left. So it's worth it. It was worth it to buy it one time and then to take it to all my travels than it is to buy. Because here's the deal. I went to Mexico last year. Yeah, last year. Didn't bring my sunscreen. They charged me $48 for one spray bottle of sunscreen. $48.
Yes.
I went through that in a day. I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I bought a $12 pump bottle gallon from
I would have too.
Wally World and checked a bag.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's
I get
yeah.
it.
Things like that also tend to be more expensive. Like bug spray in Costa Rica was like astronomical.
Oh my
$10
God.
million. They're like, take all your money.
Go in the jungle. Good luck.
You will die
Oh my
without
God.
this, but we're going to charge you your firstborn. Yeah. So
Exactly.
that's amazing.
So how are you involved with style these days? Did you get back into it? Are you talk about that since
Yeah,
we're
I
all
think
wearing real
honestly,
clothes again?
I know, I know. I put
I'm
like
not.
on a button-up shirt for this.
That's fair.
So
I struggle.
Yeah.
I definitely like go out and do things in like, the city. So like I still like wear cute clothes and have cute outfits, but like I still work from home and like, I'm wearing like soft pants most of the day and like a
Hmm.
t-shirt or something. And I think I've just moved away a little bit from it more just in my socials because I just think I just don't think I have anything like compelling to put out there for fashion anymore. Like I think I gave it my best. I think my best era was like the 2010s style. Like really was like hipster adjacent. That was like my shine era.
Mm.
The era now is very like um simple, clean girl, classic, and like I just am not that person. Like I'm gonna be wearing a print. I'm gonna be wearing something crazy, and that's fine. I love who I am, but like it's just
Yeah.
like not what's in right now, and I can't like appeal to that every girl. Like
I
my
love that.
style is very eclectic and like not super high fashion and not super relevant. So I don't think I have as much to say in that realm anymore, which
Mm.
is okay. I think I've like evolved and developed, and also like as a fashion influencer, you just get so many clothes, and it just feels like ethically questionable at this point to like how much more can I consume and like sell to people.
Mm.
And I just don't think it's where my heart is at. Like I just want to rewear my clothes. Like I want to buy more ethical fashion.
Yeah.
I don't want to like just keep promoting like Shein, Amazon, Target things that
Yeah.
just are
Very.
not amazing. Also not super size inclusive. Like I just
Yeah.
care more about brands that are like serving up to a 6X, have more ethical practices.
Yeah.
I still share a little bit of fashion, but I think I'm more focused on other experiences in life right now.
Yeah. Very much. I agree. The consumerism that happens when these girls do these Shein hauls and
Yeah.
have 30
I'm
pieces of clothes,
tired.
I'm like, do you understand that that person got paid pennies to make that? And now you're going to throw it away. It'll be in the thrift store in 2 wears because it's going to break. Like
Yeah. I have a
it's,
Mm-mm.
lot of strong opinions about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Also, like the clothing is probably full of lead and like you're
Mhm.
not wearing it for that long, and people try and argue like I need this piece of clothing, like I need to have access to this, but it's like if you can spend like $300 on a Shein haul and you can't spend like $300 at like something like slightly more ethical, even
Mhm.
like a Target or like a Walmart.
Yeah. It's also really
Mm.
bad for your vagina. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but
Mhm.
the fucking clothes from anywhere
Yeah,
outside, like it can
the
be a little rough.
regulations are different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
very much understand that. So I want to talk about
Mm.
your aerial stuff again, because you said you just went
Yeah.
to a
Mhm.
class and it was a really bad experience. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about it? We don't have to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Sure. I actually had two kind of back-to-back bad experiences. So when I travel, I try to try out an aerial studio where I go to like recommend to people because people always ask me, where is a studio I can go to that's going to be accommodating?
Mm.
I've had really amazing experiences. I went to a studio in Tulum and it was like they were so accommodating. The person was so nice that did the class. I had a great experience. But then I went to a studio in California and I had a really negative experience.
Uh-oh.
Sometimes you just like show up and the teacher just doesn't know what to do with you. And I just don't think she knew what to do with me.
oh
Um,
shit.
yeah. And so it's hard because you'll see the other people practicing, they're more advanced than you. And when the instructor is really struggling to offer like accommodations or modifications, it's frustrating. So the class in
Mm-mm.
California wasn't great. I think it was just a combination of I picked the wrong class. The teacher just did not know what to do with me. So that was rough. And then I tried a different studio in town. Like I'm just trying to diversify and learn different things. There's a couple studios in town, and I love the one I go to, which is Movement Lounge. They're amazing. So I tried another studio. I won't name them because I am going to give it another shot. But I did go
Fair.
last night. I tried one of their hammock classes, which is what I'm most comfortable with. So the hammock is basically like a loop.
Oh,
It's not the
okay.
silks, which are the two separate ones. That
Mm.
one is so hard and not for me. But I like the
Yeah.
hammock because you can rely a little bit more on the hammock to kind of help you move your body.
Oh,
So the studio was really nice. The people inside were really nice. The teacher seemed really friendly, but You go to these kind of basic level classes, and even if it's like a 101, you still have to have some level of like physical ability or like understanding of aerial to do it, which is what really frustrates me when trying to find a new studio. So we warmed up, and then they were practicing a sequence that they have been learning for, I don't know, a couple of classes. So like if you're coming in as a first timer, you're already in a situation where they're working on something that you haven't worked on before. They were practicing inversions, which I'm comfortable with inversions now, but the way they wanted inversions to be done were different than what I was used to. And they were going back really slow, and I have to go really fast because like I'm big and I can't go slow because I'm not going to make it. So I just got to hurl my body back. And they were like practicing like going back really slow in the control. I can't do it. My body physically can't do it because it's just, it's too much to lift without some kind of like centripetal force forcing me back. And so I couldn't practice inversions because they were doing it a specific way that I'm not used to. And they started the sequence, and I tried to do it like, so you had like one leg up in the hammock and you were trying to pull the other one up and through to kind of like pull to the side. It's called Cupid, which is the pose. I've never practiced that before, but it requires you to pull your whole body up, which requires a lot of upper body strength, which like I'm strong, but it's hard when you're lifting a lot. And so I couldn't even do that. And so basically, we also had to share hammocks, which is not my favorite. I hate when studios make you share hammocks with people. They had enough hammocks so everyone could have had their individual one. But we had to share. And so like, I don't have the time to sit there and practice over and over again. Like I have to just kind of try and then move off so somebody else can have the time in the hammock as well.
That sounds terrible.
That's the other studio in town is also that way. I don't know why you have to share hammocks. It's also like a germ factor for me. It's kind of gross.
I was going to say, I'm the sweatiest human ever on the planet. I'm not sharing a fucking hammock with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize the entire time. Ugh.
Do they wash the hammocks between classes?
Yeah, they'll clean them between classes and stuff. But like you're sharing in that class. So like, people be gross. Nice. It's fine. And so I couldn't even get that first part of the sequence. I couldn't get my other leg up and across because I have to lift my whole body and I just don't have the strength. And like the teacher didn't offer a modification. And she was so focused on the other people. And when you share hammocks, that means there's a lot more people in the room. So you don't get that one-on-one time. So basically I just sat back the whole time because they just kept adding on to that sequence with the more advanced people in class. And they just kind of worked on that while I just kind of stood and watched. And when I left, it was very frustrating. Like I ugly cried in the car. And it was more just feeling like I just was reflecting a lot. And like people always ask like, oh, don't you have like bad body days? Like, do you ever feel bad? I'm like, like I don't ever have a bad body day anymore. Like it's almost impossible. Like if I look in the mirror, I'm not getting negative body images or like bad feelings about myself. Like it's a very neutral feeling. I don't care. But in these situations where like my body can't do the same thing as someone else, that is when I feel incredibly frustrated. And I shouldn't feel frustrated at myself or my body. It's the lack of accommodation. The teacher didn't offer any modification. She didn't give me any one-on-one time. She didn't help me at all because I just don't think she knew what to do with me. Like I'm big and she's like, I don't know, like what can you do? Like she didn't have a conversation with me. Like nothing happened. So I just had to watch the whole class, do a bunch of stuff that I couldn't do. And so it was very frustrating.
That's terrible.
It was awful.
I would not be okay. Okay. I've never been to an aerial class because of the issues I feel like I'm scared of. I will try it now, but I've done I did one-on-one pole classes for about 8 weeks. And then we went back to the same pole fitness. It's like Pole Play Fitness, I believe it's in North Raleigh. And the owner she is literally pocket size. And she can climb up a pole like nobody I've ever seen. She is fucking incredible. But because she's so small, when I walked in, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah. Here we go again. She's not going to know what to do with me. She had modifications for fucking everything. We took a bachelor party there and we had people of all sizes, people bigger than me, people smaller than me. She made modifications for everything. She made sure everybody had a pole. If you didn't have your own pole, she made sure there was consent for sharing a pole. Like she was so immaculate. And so anytime I'm like, just try it. Even if you just need to do floor play, like floor and just like pole play, so much fun. It's you feel so sexy when you leave, but I can imagine going into that space and not having somebody like that. I would literally leave in tears because I would just be like, fuck you guys.
Nobody wants to pay for a class and stand in the back and
I
let
know.
somebody else use that's terrible.
That was also
Yeah.
frustrating because, like, sure, I did the warm up with everyone, but I could do zero portion of the class and was not offered a modification. And it was like, I just paid to stand in this classroom. But I think, I don't know, it's so tough. I think like how to mitigate that in the future, because I'm going back, I'm going to be trying a different class there. I think I just need to go to the teacher at the beginning and be like, look, I can do things. Please don't assume I can't, but just offer a modification. So I think on my end, what I can control is just let the teacher know beforehand, hey, I've been an aerialist for the past 8, 9, 10 months. I can do some things, but it's really hard for me to lift my body because it's big and there's a lot of it. So please, if I can't practice the full move, just show me something I can practice with. Like at least when I went to the other studio in town, they at least she was like, just try, just like even if your foot's on the ground, just like practice this movement. And it was amazing. Like I definitely couldn't do any of the things that these people were doing in class, but at least I got to feel what the movement felt like so I could practice and help build that muscle memory.
I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm an influencer and my followers are asking where that locally they can take aerial classes. I have a studio. I'm exploring others.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me.
I know. I mean, I try not to be like that kind of person.
I know.
I like to give
that
it
was
like
just me. If I were your friend, I'd be like, I've got this. Stand back. Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dang. Well, that's really cool though. Do you want to try other things besides aerial, or is aerial like your happy spot?
I think aerial's my happy spot. All my friends try to keep convincing me to take a pole class, and like it's just not me. Like I will never. I don't want to do it. It does not interest me. I have a lot of friends that do pole, and there's so many plus size pole people actually like on Instagram. Like if you look, so like I did this like meta analysis because like I am like want to know how the algorithm works. And so like if you look up like plus size pole, there's like 50,000 posts. But if you look like a plus size aerialist, there's like 5,000 posts. So it's just like there's so many like fat people doing pole, which is amazing, but there's like zero aerialists, which is also why this makes it so much harder because like there's so many things you can do if you have a modification, but like we're so limited because I don't know all of the modifications and there's like almost zero resources online for this as opposed to pole where like I probably follow like 10 plus size pole instructors because they also do some aerial. But so there's like just tons of plus size pole and like other content out there, but there's just so little aerial content out there. I know there's probably dozens of fat aerialists, but like they're not online.
They're not online. Yeah.
But Kimmy, I mean, I'm thinking this is your next move.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
You can be the modification person. And there you go. You're the person that shows everybody.
Yeah, I thought a lot about it, but I still just feel so limited in like my knowledge because like I just feel like there's so much I still can't do because like I can't learn how to do it because there's not a modification. So it just will take more time in the studio. And like I think like in the summer I've been going like once a week as opposed to the winter where I was going like 3 to 4 times a week. So I think like once we get back into the fall and it's dark and there's nothing to do outside and I'm like inside for good, it'll be like learning in the studios and practicing. Yeah.
I can't wait to watch that progression. That's going to be really fun. That's going to be really cool. That's going to be really cool. So what do you have planned next besides Canada? What's setting your soul on fire? What are you excited about?
Man, that's a good question. I was really reflecting on this also last night after deeply crying.
Yes.
So, you just reflect on your life.
Snot sobbing in the car. You're like, everything's bad.
I know everything's bad. I'm one of those people that's like everything's bad, but I have to get better. So it really ignites like a I don't know, anger or something inside of me that makes me want to do more. So Canada is coming up, and then I do have another like domestic US trip, staying with friends later in the year. I don't really talk about like future travels just for like safety issues. But next year I'm like contemplating like maybe going on a cruise. Like I'm kind of like an anti-cruise person, but like sometimes you find a good deal or sometimes there's locations that are interesting. So I'm kind of like taking a look at what that would look like and thinking about other international trips. I would really love to see more of Central and South America. I'm very like interested in like the Americas regions right now. I know people like really are interested in Europe, but it's like it does not interest me at all. Like I don't like Europe that much. So it's like Central South America, Caribbean is like very interesting to me. And then just like more aerial. I've just been thinking about it a lot. Like I just want to practice more. I want to get better. It's really fun. I like showing that. And I think just like being able to share more with people. Like the more I travel, the more I do these things, like I learn more, and then like I can share that information, and people are usually like either shocked or like they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was possible." And it's like,
Yeah, it
it is possible. No one's told you because like I don't
right.
know, this information, there's just like a huge vacuum of information for fat people. Like so few resources exist. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like I just want to like make more resources available to
Yeah.
people.
I love
What do you
that.
think resonates the most with your followers? What do they get really excited about?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think my following has been changing because I've really shifted hard away from fashion. And so I
Mm,
think I had a bunch of fashion people, and now I'm doing more like activity, adventure, movement, and travel. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm curious what people are most interested in. I
that's
think like
interesting.
people really like things that offer them like valuable information.
mm,
Yes.
Like I've had a couple of videos like go not like viral, but like they've had like more traction, and it's like a video I did about like not getting scammed in an international airport, because I got scammed in Puerto Vallarta and I didn't want that to happen to other people. So
mm.
Yeah,
the time I traveled to Mexico, I just like filmed how not to get scammed and how to avoid it.
right.
um so I think it's just like taking those personal learnings and those difficulties and then just like translating it so people understand and they can learn like, oh, bring a real raincoat, make sure to pack enough
Yeah.
underwear because you're not going to find it in your size. Don't get scammed at the international airport. So,
Yeah. Those things. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We were in Puerto Vallarta in May, April,
Hmm.
May. I had a retreat down there. It was really fun,
Hmm.
but I was not prepared for the exchange rate in Puerto Vallarta.
Mm,
It's not a regulated thing. It's set
Yeah.
based on the vendor, not on the like international exchange rate.
Hmm.
So we brought
Yeah.
X
I got
amount of
ripped off in the
dollars.
airport.
Yeah. Well, we brought dollars. And it didn't go nearly as far as because like they shopped every day for
No.
us. We had an amazing staff and
Always
chef. And
translate to always get
mm,
pesos.
so I didn't know that. And so this next year I have another one coming up again in May. And it's all inclusive. Like it's a house, it's beautiful, right? But then we tip them and all the things on the back end. Well, we almost didn't have enough money and my cards didn't work. I couldn't get any more cash out because I didn't have a PIN. So we literally
Yep.
scrounged and I was Venmoing at the very end. I
Oh no.
Venmoed two of our guests for their cash before they walked out my door. Like on their way to the airport, I'm like, hey, by the way, I know that you have a couple $100. Can I have it
Have
and
your
Venmo
money?
you? Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. So that's what we ended up
Yeah.
doing. One of my assistants
That's
Venmoed her
tough.
for her money. Another one of our, it was bad. And I was like, this is something I should have thought about. I should have done a little bit more research on, but I am a by the seat of your pants kind of girl for the most part. Not
Yeah.
on this because it's
Me
a
too.
retreat and I have 10 other people
Yeah.
that I'm taking care of. And it was very well planned down to like the
Yeah.
meal and the time and all that. But
Hmm.
the exchange rate was something I was not prepared for. So when you exchange money, you do it in the States before you go?
Always, your bank will give you the best deal, and it will typically order you currency the fastest, unless it's some like really weird currency. But like, yeah, anytime I go, like I went to Costa Rica and Mexico, I went to the bank beforehand. They'll honestly order it within 2 to 3 business days. It just gets like FedEx to them,
Yeah.
and
Mm,
so just like go in a week beforehand. If it's like a harder currency, like maybe somewhere in like Southeast Asia or like Africa that you're going, maybe go 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
Just go and say, hey, like I need to order pesos or
Wow.
colones or like whatever the currency is, and then they'll just call you when it's ready. And in my bank, it's so funny. They always just hand it to you like in this like FedEx bag, and they're just like,
Here you go.
they're not like making eye contact. I'm like, okay, thank
It's
you.
not
Like it just
it's
feels
not a
like
drug deal.
very,
Yeah.
very illicit or something. So
I'm just going to Mexico. Thank you very much.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So
That's good
I always
information to
recommend doing
have.
it beforehand because
Yeah.
even if you do it in the airport, you're getting a worse exchange rate. And if you're facing local vendors, or if you bring you like US dollars are typically like in a lot of like Central American places are accepted, but like you're gonna
Yeah.
get ripped off. Like I can like even at the exchange rate, like if I had some like US dollars, of course, like when I went down to Costa Rica, and they'd be like, yeah, it's like, like $10 or like, it would have only been like 5,000
They just make
colones
it
or
up.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so also other hot tip, like if you are paying with your card anywhere, unless like the currency in that place is like really has a lot of turmoil. So like I wouldn't do this somewhere in like Argentina where things are up and down, but in a
Right.
place where it's a
Mm,
pretty stable exchange rate, when you pay with your card, if they offer you the option to pay in the local currency, pay in the local currency because you're going to get a better rate. If you pay in
Oh,
dollars, the conversion, you're usually paying more.
I didn't
I
know
did not
that.
know that.
I was like, what's the
Always,
difference?
always
Okay.
choose the local currency because you will get a better exchange rate typically, again, unless you're in like a really like volatile market
Mm,
like Argentina where things are either very expensive or very cheap.
Wow, I did not know that.
super
That's
smart.
very good to
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's very good to know. Dang, you are
Yeah.
a plethora of knowledge.
She's on
Um,
it.
you should write a workbook. You should do
You got to
Yeah.
get like a good
a
deal. I
digital
know.
product. Yeah, I would buy it.
Yeah.
So much opportunity. Oh my, her and I
Literally.
are like, this is what we do with each other. Like, you know what you should do? You should go out. You should do like, yeah. So that's why we're
I
doing
get
it
it.
to you.
That's
You're in
why
the
we're doing
family.
it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, you should make money this way. We want you to make money
Yeah.
this way.
Opportunity.
I know. I thought about it because like every influencer is like selling some kind of like course or PDF, and I'm like, oh, is this how you are? This is how you do it, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. So
It is,
yeah,
unfortunately. I'm in the
yeah,
process of doing that now, and it's
gotcha.
time consuming and tedious, and the learning
Yeah.
process is super steep. But people want to learn what the information you have done this for years. You have a plethora of knowledge, and even though you don't feel like
Mm-hmm.
you do, you know way more
Mm-hmm.
than you did when you first started traveling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
somebody at some point is starting the same journey that you are or did,
Mm-hmm.
and
And they
you could
want to
save
know.
them a shit ton of heartbreak and being scammed and
Mistakes. Yep. There you
mistakes
go.
and
Yeah.
like the $15-20
Yeah.
for a digital product I would pay because it was like, it's that or get
This is
scammed out of
worth it.
$4,000. It's like, I don't know. I just feel
Yeah.
like you have
Well,
a
and your
plethora of
followers
knowledge.
trust you,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah, that's true. I
and that's
just feel
why.
like there's so much noise in this space where people are like
True.
selling a workshop on how to sell a workshop. And so it feels very like
Oh,
ML
yeah.
like very MLM adjacent. And so like it just
It
gives me a
is.
little hesitation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, maybe just something free. If you don't want to sell it,
Yeah.
just do it as
Yeah.
put it out
For
because it
free.
brings your heart
A
happiness.
free download. Yeah.
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 Build your
I'm
email
trying
list
to do
so that
that
when you're
now.
ready.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to do it now on my page, like how not to get scammed. And it's
Mm,
not behind a
Oh,
paywall. And it's
yeah.
just like you don't have to
yeah.
download anything. It's just like on my page.
Love that.
Mm.
I love
Doesn't
that.
Yeah.
Show Up Society have a free something, Caitlin?
They do. They have a really good free workbook.
That
Show
would be
Society
that might
is
be a
somebody
good
that we
resource.
had on our podcast earlier this year. She's
Mhm.
amazing, but she is a
Yeah.
coach, and so she has this really free,
Mhm.
Oh,
really
cool.
cool free download, and she'll
Mm.
occasionally throw them into her email list too. Like the way that she does
Yeah.
business is exquisite. But
So good.
her workbook is great, and it's like
Mhm.
a 3 or 4 page thing. It has really good intuitive questions and some examples, and it's like, yeah, you can just rock with people like that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
MLM because it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've paid
That's
for a
fair.
lot of courses in the last 3 weeks, and they are all very join our VIP. Make sure to get
Uh-huh.
in. You only have a few hours left. Shut the fuck up, Karen. I didn't come here to join as a VIP.
For this.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is not it. Like what are you trying to do? Sell snake oil
Right.
on the internet? Like get away from me.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel you on that. I feel you.
I love that.
Okay. So we want people to go follow you. How do they
Yep.
find you? All the ways.
Yes.
Tell us all the ways.
So I'm mainly on TikTok and Instagram. My handle is Kimmy Styled, Kimmy Styled. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't have the other ones. I mean, I have like a Threads now,
Yeah.
but I don't think people are really using that. So
I
Threads
don't know what
died.
they're doing on that.
Threads
yeah,
was
that's
awesome, and then Threads died
it was cool
immediately.
for like 7 days, and then everyone collectively
Yeah.
was like,
This is
Mm.
literally
that-
just Twitter, and we all
Yeah.
fucking hate Twitter too. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, cool. That then we will make sure to tag that in our show notes so that
Yep.
we our people can find you. And is there anything else that is like sitting on your soul that we need to know?
I don't think so. I guess like the only other thing is like there are so many other sports and things that people can do, even if there's like a weight limit. Like you can kayak. Most kayaks only hold up to 275.
Mhm.
I'm frequently 40 to 60 pounds above that. It's fine. You can
Yeah.
just do it. Same thing with paddle boards. Like there are so many activities that may have some kind of limit. I mean, some things don't do, like probably you can't skydive, but like many other things, very safe. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go
don't
do
be
it.
afraid. Just go
Yeah.
do it. Just do
The
it like a tiny
paddleboard
bit of
specifically.
research.
Yeah.
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 Well, we were I love to paddleboard. I have a couple of them. And we went out 2 months ago, back in
Mhm.
July. And my paddleboard sits really low in the water because I am much bigger than the people I paddleboard with. And I
Yeah.
was not aware that I knew I was under the weight limit for the most part. I haven't weighed myself, but I knew I was generally under the weight limit.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that boards were rated for different weights. They have
Mhm.
paddle boards now that are built for multiple people. And so the
Yep.
weight limits can go up to like 1,500 pounds on some of them.
Yep.
They're like literal ocean paddle boards that
Yep. They're
not
very
kayak.
big.
They're
Very
very big.
cool.
They're very stable. Like a
Yeah.
lot of that is becoming more accessible. And I love that you just said that because I think people are
Yeah.
like me. I haven't tried
Yes.
aerial because I'm like, oh, it's all rated for the wrong.
Scary. Yeah.
Mhm.
But you're right. You just need to go do it. Just try it.
There are options if you do a little research, and even with bigger things like paddle boards, like they're becoming larger, you can put a wheelchair on top of them and strap them
Yes.
down. So like it's like just generally more accessible. There's also like wheelchair adaptive like kayaks and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Love that.
lots of
Yeah, I
options.
knew our listeners would love you. I knew
Yeah.
that you had have a lot to offer them. So I really appreciate you being on, and we will tag all this. And thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Thank
It's been
you.
incredible.
I
It was
so
great to
appreciate
meet
it.
you. Yay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. Make sure
Yeah.
to like and follow What the Body on social media. You can also find the behind the scenes, the video on YouTube at What the Body, and on Instagram we are What the Body Pod. And make sure to send in emails if you have questions about this at all. Otherwise, Miss Kimmy, thank you.
Thank you for joining
I
us.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
so much. Adios.
Bye.